Cool. There we go. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Streaming Things. My name is Wheeler. I am your host for tonight for another round of mini painting and, dare I say, chilling. But before we get started with that, a few quick things to get out of the way. One, if you aren't already following the channel, please do. If you have the financial ability to, please consider subscribing. Don't forget that if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to a Twitch channel for free once per month. You just have to re-up it each month. With your Twitch Prime subscription, we would appreciate it if that was us. You can gift subs, you can cheer bits, you can do all of that amazing things, or those amazing things, and we would really appreciate it and love and appreciate your support. But if you'd like to donate your money to a cause, we are doing a fundraiser for Planned Parenthood that we'll be going and doing until we reach the goal. So I hope that you guys are able to donate to that because it would be awesome for us to reach that goal. Finally, if you aren't following us on our socials, at StreamofMT on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, or you can follow me at Wheeler's Minis or really_Wheeler on pretty much any platform. Other than that, if you could head over to our YouTube channel and give us a subscription there, it is free to subscribe on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it. My goals for the year will come out closer to my birthday, which is close to Emerald City. And we'll probably do a community point thing when we get to March, because why not? I have a lot of stuff I'm doing in March, but it would be fun to get some community stuff going. So I think that's it. Today we're going to be working on some Wildshapes, and I'm going to be kind of hopefully getting these little guys done. They shouldn't take too long to get done because they are just brains. I just have to get them painted up and proper. But before we get these started, because these are dry with their speed paints on them, which by the way, the Art Painter came out with their nude speed paint set 2.0. It looks amazing. I'm so excited. I'm going to be getting it because it's absolutely phenomenal and I love the speed paints. But before we get started with that, we're going to speed paint these Wildshapes. This is going to be a set that's going to be available on the website as soon as these are done. And this is Izzy's set. This is the Izzy Wildshape pack, which is going to include a direwolf, a giant eagle, a bear, and a rat. And I'm basing all of these on local wildlife based on where I know that Izzy is located. So I hope you guys can sit back and relax and enjoy as I'm painting. If I don't respond to you right away, it's because I don't have my phone on me. It is charging currently. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So a lot of them are very brown toned, but not red. So I think I'm going to go dark wood for the eagle and the bear. And then for the wolf, I'm going to go I think the wolf, I'm gonna go like a skin tone or something. We'll figure it out. But I definitely know I'm doing dark wood, so we're gonna start with this. And then when I get into the bits, I'll actually put this on. I've worn it a bunch because I just got it. And it makes me look nerdy, but like, so does painting minis. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So first and foremost, let me get any stray bits of support off. And I will be basing these as well, but for now we're just going to stick with getting paint on the figure. Worry about basing later. So this is a very dark brown, which is kind of what I wanted, because it's going to have brown undertones, because nothing in nature is truly black. It's either deep purple or very deep brown. And I want the shadows to show that with the paints. That is why I'm going with a brown tone underneath to begin with. I love the dark wood. I think it's probably one of my favorite speed paints just because I use it often because I paint a lot of wood colors. And it's also just a really good like dark brown for animals as well. So I'm excited to see all of the new paints that are coming out in the set. It's going to be awesome because I love the speed paints. They have made my life so much easier. And they're not really cheating when it comes to painting. It's just using a tool that was designed for a specific purpose. It's like saying you're cheating if you're using a drill to cut wood instead of an axe or a chisel. It's not cheating. You're just using the tools that were granted to you. But yeah. And then the mouth. Sure, I'll do everything in brown. That's just going to be easier to get coated for one, and two, most things are brown toned anyways. So, all right, on to the second figure. Again, we're just going to get speed paint on these for now, and then I'm going to work on something else and while the speed paint dries, and then should I finish with that other thing before the end, I'll come back to these and start working on them. Trying not to limit myself to one set of mini per thing, but I would like to have an idea of what I'm painting represented in the title of the stream. So we're working a little bit on Wildshapes today. And then we're also working on some other things that I'm making for a friend. But mostly Wildshapes. And then next week we'll probably work on these more. And probably finish them. All of it. I need more dark wood. I'm doing enough to get both of those eagles done. So I'm going golden eagle on this, which is similar to the other eagles I did, but the other ones were a little too golden. I'm going more brown toned for this one specifically. I could do a bald eagle, but I don't. Too much of an overused eagle. So for those who might be watching this later down the line, if you've never painted minis before, the speed paints basically are a high pigment, very viscous, well, yes, high viscosity paint that seeps into kind of cracks and crevices on a mini or model. And what it does is it kind of does a few jobs at once, which is why it's called a speed paint. It both gives you a really nice base coat, but it also shades really, really well because it sits in those crevices, which you'll be able to see more in the spaces where I already did a bit of a highlight on the priming. It gives a nice contrast color, which is a fancy way of saying it shows highs and lows when it's primed this way. When it's not primed this way, it just kind of gives you a nice base coat and gets some good shading on the model. But when it is primed like this, it gives you a base coat and some pretty decent highlights right off the bat. The Eagle's a little bit harder to deal with because it doesn't have a base attached to it, so I have to be a little bit more careful. More. I'm being more sparing with this because, like I said last time we streamed, I'm trying to make sure that this palette stays dry. And doesn't get gunk caked up in it. And by gunk, I mean leftover paints. Because then it is a pain, because those paints will be reactivated once I put the medium back in them. And the medium is in all of the paints, so anytime I put new paint in there, the old paint will get reactivated if it's not dried completely to the point where it's not usable anymore, and then it will color the new paints I'm trying to use. So I'm just trying to be more cautious and aware of when situations like that occur, so that way I can hopefully just nip it in the bud and not worry about it too much. And it's a little wasteful of paint, but that is also why I'm focusing on using less when I put it into the palette itself, and then try to use all of that and then come back to it if I need it again. Or use it all on the first run through, and then I don't have to worry about wasting any. So this I also have to be careful of, because if I'm not, the paint will pull off of the mini, and then I will have to reapply it in certain spaces. Like that. So I try to grab places where I know it's not going to take too much. But, alright. That should be it for that color. Now we'll work on, like I said, I think I want a skin tone for these, and then the rats don't really need a dry or a base because they're already based in black from the primer, and I didn't do a highlight on them, so I'm not gonna worry about that too much at the moment. But see, that was like the perfect amount of dark wood. I didn't really waste any, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want to waste anything. I'm trying to be more mindful of my use, especially when it comes to the stuff I use for my business. Yeah, so this is going to give a very light brown tone, which is kind of what I want to go for, because I'm going to go back over this in like tan and gray and things like that, and it's just going to be a good base tone for it. And I didn't go to art school, so I don't know like color theory things, but I look at pictures and I try to make things as realistic as I can when it comes to those pictures. So when I'm painting D&D models, I look at the official artwork and I try to base as much of my paint job in the official artwork as possible. Or, you know, if and when I start painting Pathfinder minis, I'll look at the Bestiary Codex for Pathfinder and get inspiration from those, because I like to stick to the official artwork for a lot of creatures. One, I think that the paint job that the person who did the art for it is incredible, and I want to pay homage to that. But two, it's easier on my brain to not have to figure out how to do a different color scheme that I'm not used to. So this is actually coming along nicely. These are very quickly getting painted, which is nice. And with these, it's very much a you can use them as shades if you want. It does tend to kind of take over paint. So if you have any like detail paint and you paint over it with this, that detail's most likely going to be gone. But if you do it as a base coat, it helps out a bunch. Gives you a nice idea of where colors need to go, especially if you've primed it like I have. And then you can kind of move on from there once it dries. It does take a little bit to dry because it is not, like I said, it is not a normal paint. It is a little bit more, it's got a higher viscosity. It's very well pigmented. So you want to give it a chance to dry before you start painting anything else on the model. But I will tell you from experience, it is 100% worth the wait, because you get really, really pretty models. And sometimes, if you do it right and you prime really, really well, I don't normally advise this, but if you need something in a jiffy and you need it real quick, you can throw speed paint on it, and that's all she wrote. You don't really need anything else. I know some people who do that, and their models look amazing because of it. But I mean, I like painting more detail on my minis, so it's nothing against people who do that, because that's what they want to do. It's different. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, and now we can work on these chitlins. First thing I'm going to do is make myself some more purple if I have it. Ooh, that's probably a little too much. I'm going to take this purple, I'm going to mix it with a little bit of black and bring it down. And there already is purple and black on there, it's just very dry. always try to revive it, but I find it's just a little easier just to go straight to putting some more paint on the palette. So what I'll do is I'll take this, which is a very almost like grayish purple, and I will dry brush it over all of this. And then I'll let it dry, and then I will lightly dry brush over with just the purple, and then give it a nice hard coat finish. Really sell that goopiness. Now for the brains, I have a pixie dust pink. And for this, I'm just adding water into this because it's a little thick, which means that it's not really mixed up very well. It's more of what I want. It's not perfect, but I will take this and just kind of go over this with it. I think I want a like pinkish purple for the tail and bits, but for now I'm going to get it like this, and then the legs are going to be like a yellowish, almost like a chicken foot, but less orange, more yellow. I mean, it's already going to have a bit of a purplish pink, even if I put purple on it, because it is a pink undertone. But I'm going to get the brains colored in first, and then I will come back and work on the tails. These shouldn't take too long. I want them to look good, but they'll look good just like that. And then I'm gonna come back over it with an art coat finish on everything except the feet. No, maybe I'll figure that out when I get closer to it. But that's gonna again give that kind of slimy look that if you watched the previous episode with the elder brain, it's gonna give you that like slimy look to to the model. Gives it like a gloss coat. Which is kind of what I'm going for. I want it to look like it is a pulsating brain. Nose has been so stuffy recently, and it really only stops being stuffy when I don't need it to stop being stuffy. Which is like when I'm working on things. It's funny how life works like that. Alright, so that'll be that color. A nice little pink on the brain. Must be pink on the brain. Got me feeling this way. Alright, and then I will take some of this purple, put it here, start to kind of mix in some pink. And I want it just different enough to where it's still got a little bit of that pink undertone, which I kind of like this. It's almost like a cotton candy. Oh yeah, beautiful. And I'm gonna do that on here. Really see the base of the model, but again, as I say with everything, I will, and I'll know what it looks like, and I want it to look good. Always. Across the board. Alright. It's just kind of slightly off pink, which is kind of what I was going for. I just wanted a little bit of purple in there to kind of change the tone of it. It's hard to see, except when you're looking at it very close up, but it is enough of a difference that I am comfortable with. And I'm going to go back over the top here with some pink mixed with white once I get everything done. And that's going to give me the highlight that I want for this. But yeah, I just wanted a little bit of purple in. It's really just going to help kind of sell and attach it to the base really well. Which, speaking of, go ahead and just take some straight purple, just very lightly kind of dry brush over the top of it. Wait. Oh, goodness. Ugh. Goodness. I also forgot to turn this on. I can see things a little better. Alright, now... Oh, getting that perfect gross color. Not orange. I think it's going to be a bit of... Where is it? Where is it? Not goblin skin. I think it's going to be a bit of Otiug brown mixed with yellow is the color that... God, these are just not mixed up very well. Too much yellow. But again, that's okay. The more consistent aspect of the yellow is actually going to help bring the brown color to a more paintable texture. That actually is the color that I want. I'm gonna get a smaller brush because ain't no way I'm painting these small things with a bigger brush. Which, I mean, thinking about it, I probably should have done more with this when it came to the other parts. And then what I'll do to bring this back down is probably push the whole thing through some flush shade. That'll bring some kind of dirtiness back to the model. And then basically just repeat everything that I just did, which was go back over it with the pink and I'm going to be careful too. You don't want to overdo it to where it doesn't really fit the model anymore. There is going to be obviously a drastic change in color, but you still want it to kind of have some part of it have a cohesive aspect. So in this case, the base coat and the shade on the original piece is like a purplish pink. So there's going to be base tones of that purplish pink in the legs and things. But you obviously want them to be a different color. So you just have to be careful not to oversaturate a space with too much of a different color, because then it's just going to kind of look like a mess. And luckily, when you get the paint on it, if you accidentally put too much on one spot, just keep dry brushing. And it, at least something I've noticed is that it tends to kind of balance itself out after a bit. It might take a little bit of dry brushing in the same place over and over again with like a clean brush, but it will kind of simmer down to a point where it's less jarring, so to speak. Yeah, I think I'm going to douse all of these in flesh shade. Which I'm actually running out of, and they don't have any of the old flesh shade anymore because they redid the formula. Now it's less of a tint and more of a actual shade, but I kind of prefer the tinting aspect of it. It's also super expensive because Games Workshop is very expensive in the stuff that they make. It's like when you are what I would consider the standard for miniature paints, I guess you can charge whatever you want. But yeah. So we're gonna put all of these through some flesh shade. The bases are done. They don't really need anything more than that. We're gonna put flesh shade on these boys. And really all this is going to do is give more of a brown to the coloration, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because like, when you are, if you're a creature that is constantly slimy and moving around, you're probably going to get pretty dirty. So really what this is doing is just giving me a good, nice brown tone to some of the pieces, and everything is now going to have a bit of a brown tone to it, which is just going to help the overall model. And this is something you do want to pull up, but you don't want it to be too much. Oh, I completely missed one of the dogs with the legs. So let's get these. The only bad part about shades is they do take a little bit of time to dry, so I will have to wait to get back to these. But in the meantime, I can check on the Wildshapes that we started earlier and see where those are at. But yeah, this is just going to give like a good rebase for a good rebase tone for these little dogs. And if it ends up being something I don't like, I can always just paint over it. Or re-put the pink on there. But again, it's really, all it's doing is giving kind of a dirty look to the model. It's not really taking away from the already shadow parts of this. Because it still looks like it's got a pink undertone. And that's the other thing about flesh tones and flesh shades, is like they're gonna have a bit of a pink undertone anyway, because flesh isn't inherently, brown. It is not in the sense that like melanin doesn't exist. Obviously it does, but in a sense of like fair skinned or a color like this, it's not just brown. There's red tones to it. There's flush. There's things like that. And those are things that people tend not to account for when they're painting. We're not going for, obviously this is, a fantasy game. We're not going for full-on realism, but you want to have some semblance of like understanding of how flesh would work, how, certain aspects of it would, would show in certain lightings and things like that. So right. And get it on there. Really just dirty up the model a little bit. And then let that dry. Oh. The bases are done. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna wait. I was gonna wait to do the art coat, but I think if I do that, I'm not gonna be able to get it the way that I want to. So we're gonna take some of this art coat and just literally maneuver it around here, and then give that some time to dry. And then hopefully still be able to find the footholds, because there are tiny little footholes on here where I will put the model once I'm done with it. Now Definitely don't need more of that. All right. But see, it's given it like kind of a cohesive look. And really all I need to do now is just give it a little bit of highlighting. So in order to do that, I'm going to take... There's no white left. I'm going to take like a very tiny amount of white and mix it in with some of the pink. Get a bit of a dark or a lighter pink. See, it's a bit lighter, and then I'm just going to try brush that over the top. But not on the bottom. So that way it accentuates and emphasizes the shading that I did. And this idea is very simple when it comes to just like when you're thinking about it in a sense of, you know, how do I highlight and where to highlight. Really all you need to know is, you know, if you have a light source, where is that light source going to hit? You know, is it going to hit specific parts more? And if so, those parts need to have a bit of a lighter hue to them, because when light hits something, it reflects off of it, and the reflection that we get tends to be a little bit brighter than the color actually is in what we would call like true color lighting. So in this case, wait for this one to dry. But in this case, it's just a little bit of white mixed with the pink. And then what I'm going to do now is take a little bit of white and mix it in with this color. And then take this and kind of paint it down the tail. Because I'm doing, for this one, the idea that I had for it was top-down lighting. So for this one, you're going to get kind of a top-down look when it comes to the paint on the tail. You want to make sure you're getting both sides. And really all this is going to do is it's going to help give a dimension to the mini that you may have not had on it before. Here too, because this one is pretty much done. Oh. Take some of this pink. And I really should be waiting for this, but I am impatient. Paint a little like that. Go back to this light purple pink. And paint it on the tongue thing for the ones that have it. Oh, goodness. And go back to this color. And this time, instead of doing it full blast, I'm just going to kind of lightly go over just some of the spaces it probably darkened a little too much. and kind of bring back some of that color. And that is really all she wrote. Like this one, there's some parts that were still pretty pink, but I am just kind of focusing on making sure that when I'm looking at it, I'm still getting that color that I want from the legs. And when in doubt, your finger is always a great resource for checking the hue of a color that you may not know what it looks like. So I always recommend putting some paint on your finger to get a better idea of what you are working with. Trust me, you will thank me in the long run. Plus, it's like a little... It's like a free manicure. Think about it like that. So the outsides and the tops are going to be more of that color, and the bottoms are, and the inside. And that is going to give you the look you want when it comes to highlighting. Because, again, when you're looking at something in darkness or that is shaded, it is not going to be the color that it actually is. It's going to be darker because there's not as much light reflecting off of it. So, just want to make sure you're getting correct color. And that's it. That's pretty much done. Now what I will do is put them onto their bases. So for this, I'm going to do a little bit on the feet. That's not right. Gotta do this quickly because you don't want the thing to dry. This is fine. Oh, goodness. At least I think that was correct. If I was wrong, then I was wrong. But I think I was right. Right. I really only want a little bit of super glue because it'll go a very long way. This one. I think it's this. They're just so tiny on the base that it's kind of always hard to tell for certain. Right. Let's... Okay. Alright, and then I will let these dry, and then when they're done, we'll put some ard coat on them, and then they're done. Simple as that. Woo! Oh. Alright, let's see, it's 6:30 right now. I'm gonna take a quick break while I let those dry, and then when we come back, we'll finish them up and then get some work done on the Wildshapes. But in the meantime, stick around. Music will be playing, and I will be back shortly. Thanks, guys. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for giving me a second to get some things situated. I think that these have dried pretty dry. So now all we're gonna have to do is put some art coat on them, and they're gonna be done. We're gonna go ahead and put some art coat on these little brain doggies. Debating if I want to leave. I'm gonna let this one dry first. I'm gonna see how it looks, and then I'll decide if I want to put that coating on the legs as well. But for now, brain and weird tail and tongue are definitely getting some slimy coating. An art coat's just like a gloss coat, so once it's done, it'll be really just slimy, which is what I'm going for. And I think that it's something that's severely lacking in certain minis. But it also acts as a sealer, so, you know, should these get handled a lot, it'll make sure that the paint doesn't wear. And your fingies will be touching the coating rather than the paint itself, which means the oils won't pick up paints and make you lose all the goodness that you've spent time painting. Actually kind of like just the brains being slimy. I think I like the legs being just the way that the legs are. So I think I'm gonna leave that as is, and instead of ard coat, it's gonna get a dull coat. Which is basically the same thing, but a matte finish. This one is a little less friendly, but should easily be placed onto the figure. This one definitely has a smell to it, but it gives a really nice matte finish, which I usually do with a spray can, but when you're going for precise things like this, it's much better to use a brush. And I just think this is going to look better. I want it to have kind of, I want the brain itself to be obviously extremely slimy because like it's literally a brain with legs, but I want the legs, I think, to be more of a matte finish to give them more of that kind of like skin tone or skin finish, because skin isn't really glossy unless it's sweaty. But yeah, all right, I think that is it for those. Yeah, very, very proud of these. Put them up here so I can take a picture of them. So they are fully dry, which should be relatively quickly. The art coat definitely finishes interestingly. But yeah, those will be those, and sweetness. I can start working on the Wildshapes. Got about 45 minutes left. Should be more than enough time to get some work done on them. Hell, spill? Must have. That off. All right. This unicorn I have to work on too at some point, but I'll get to it. Alrighty. Let's see. The bears were first, and they seem to be pretty dry. So what we're gonna do is take got earth, leather brown. I think we're gonna take some leather brown. And some black. And that's going to give us, hopefully, the color that we want. Truthfully, artists would tell you not to mix anything with black. They tell you to mix it with a darker tone. But as this is a black bear, and I definitely want it to be pretty deep black, I am going to mix black with brown to get, hopefully, the desired result, which is a very, very deep brown, which is exactly what that is. So now I will go over this. The only issue is it is very hard to see when you're doing stuff with darker tones because you're not sure that it's getting on the model. Unless you do something like that, where you get a bunch of it on. This is kind of the point, like it's gonna look pretty monotone because there isn't much color in a black bear. They are very much this kind of dark brown, pretty much all throughout, except for the nose. really already see the difference. It's slight, but there is a difference. This one is much darker. I'm going to do basically the same thing. Just kind of paint over everything with this tone. Yeah, they don't really have a lot of brown to them. It's very much just a black, or in this case a very, very dark brown, but where the highlights hit, even there it's more gray than it is brown. Right. Get that dark brown in there, and then get a little bit of light brown around the face. And that's about it. Then the mouth is kind of pink, which works out really well because I've got this pink here right now. But it's mixed, I think, with a little bit of brown. It's a good mouth color. I'm just gonna go in and give this good old mouth a quick paint. And then I will go back over the teeth to make sure that they are the correct color. And a bit. Right now I'm focused on making sure that the mouth is the color I want. Yeah, it's like a slight amount of brown, which I think this brown will actually do just fine. Got it. That's around here. Beautiful. Not that drastic, but that does look good. Kind of the same thing on this one. The nose will be pretty much pure black as well. I want to get some... Yeah, that looks really good, actually. And then I'll just paint the nose black. And I think that's pretty much done. It's crazy how sometimes it doesn't take a lot just to make things look good. Especially when it comes to animals. Like, animals are actually not too difficult to paint when it comes to miniatures. A little bit of this. Just... There you go. Little black. And now, my favorite part of painting. Teeth. Actually, I might want to get a really fine detail brush for this, because they are very tiny teeth. My tiny teeth and me, tiny teeth, my tiny teeth that twinkle just like the morning sun. My tiny teeth that sparkle, bring joy to everyone. My tiny teeth that don't get copyright strikes for singing. I would walk a mile just to see you smile. My tiny teeth and me. Always, I love painting like bone and teeth. It's like my favorite thing. It just always looks so good when it's done. And honestly, because I based everything in brown, I don't really think I need to do much more for this. I think, honestly, this will be more than enough. The mouth looks good. There's a little bit of... Mouth looks good. I have to do the eyes, obviously, but like... Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Damn. I love it when you're doing something that you've been doing for a while, and then you realize that you've gotten halfway decent at it, and you're like, shit. I've gotten halfway decent at doing this thing. Ooh. Because normally I would like flesh wash this, but honestly I think because again I did it in brown, it doesn't really need a flesh wash. Looks pretty good as is. I can get these painted without too much of an issue. Yep. There we go. Look at that. Black bear. Right there. That is a black bear. Alright, now comes the fun part. Right, they do not have white irises. They have yellow or golden ones, which is crazy. I have this color right here. means. Well, black dot. This is always the hardest part, is the eyes. Got some wonky eyes, but they're on. And that's it for the Bears. They really don't need anything else. Alright, what should we do next? Let's 30 minutes left. Bears are done. Eagles technically next up on the list, so I guess we'll go with that. That's going to be Browns, and then probably brown mixed with that. Steal some of this. Yeah, it's a good like golden brown. It's not the color I need right now though. Need darker, but not as dark as the black bear. Maybe that. Alright. Now we paint. We're going dark brown for because you always. It's harder to make a mini darker. It's very easy to make a mini lighter. So you always want to start with the lowest tone first when you are painting something that is dark with multiple colors in it. At least from my experience, that's the case. I know some people might disagree. Some people have different ways of painting things, and that is completely fine. Everyone paints differently. But I've noticed that I get better results when I paint dark first and work my way up. And to begin with, it's not going to look like there's too much going on because it's already pretty dark. And part of that is because I definitely didn't have enough paint on the brush. It's one of the fun things about dry brushing is sometimes you'll be like, I'm dry brushing, and then you actually get paint on the brush for the first time, and you've gone through 75% of the model thinking that you've been dry brushing, and it turns out that you definitely have not been. So, always, like I said, check your paint on your thingy. Give you a better idea of what color you are currently working with. And doing it on your finger as well will actually also give you a better idea of how much paint is on it. Because it will not show up as clearly if there's not a lot of paint on the brush on your finger. So, just some tips and tricks from good old me. What did I already do? So this brown's a good start. And then I will start painting up a little bit. This guy he doesn't have that lighter brown on him everywhere. He's got it in very specific places. So it definitely looks like around the head. He's gonna get some. Dry brushing also tends to give more of a natural look to things. So gives it kind of that aspect of fleshiness. The tips of the wings and around the legs. And I would assume probably down the back a little bit too. Just like the line down this way. It looks like the tail is pretty dark. And then it gets lighter. Go here as well. More. And just to kind of round it off, I'm going to do like the top bits of the feathers here. And this will just kind of give it more of a natural look. Right, yeah, looks good. And then around the legs. Too much. Like that's the case for that. And then we're gonna get that. Let me just make sure that I've got it where I want it. Missing anything. Really just drive it home. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. And then the talons are obviously going to be black, because that's what most talons are. But we're going to go with the same color we used for the dog, the little brain dogs, as the kind of base for the feet. Because, again, like I said before, said that I was going for like a chicken foot. And that is also kind of what I'm going for here, because this is actual bird. So you're going to still want to keep some of that brown in there. So don't be too overzealous with it. But I mean, you can be fairly liberal with it, because you're probably going to come back over it with the shade. At least I'm probably going to come back over it with the shade to help accentuate it a little bit more. So those are the claws, and then the same thing is going to happen to the beak, because they are very similar colors. If you get a little bit where it's not supposed to be, that is okay. And you can always come back over it and paint over it with the color that it needs to be later down the road. So that is that is a good base coat for this so far. In order to make sure that I still have the paint that I need and still got 22 minutes, I'm just going to go ahead and start on the other one with this dark brown. make sure that I have enough of this paint to get it across the model. And I'm going to have enough regardless, because again, like I have a lot of paint on the palette that I can use, so I can just pull some black and brown down here and hopefully get it to the same color. Yes. And just, you know, I don't remember which one I did. I think I already did this one. So it looks like there's already painted on there. This is just going to give it, again, just kind of more depth. The mini itself. And it's going to look pretty banging. If you guys will give me just a brief second, I just remembered something. I'll get this paint on here first. I just remembered that my dinner is still sitting on the counter. As soon as I get the paint on here, I'm going to go grab that and be right back. Like I said, I want to get the paint on here first. Once the paint's on there, I don't think I will need this dark brown anymore. I think I got it on those things. Cool. Alright, I will be right back. All right. Eat this real quick. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I love seeing when Mini Paint and Chill gets a bunch of love. I'm sorry I'm not painting right now. It was literally just because I'm eating my dinner. I got about 15 minutes left. We'll probably get the Eagles done. But we'll see. Gotta get this dinner done first. Sorry, just scarf that down in front of you. So this one we were working on, and now it's on to this part. So we've got around the head. And I'm basing these off of wildlife stills that I found. So they might not be 100% accurate, but they're going to be pretty close. That's a little bit too much right there. Getting that top piece done first, that way I can focus more on the bottom. And here. Go. Yeah. Tops of the wings. Ooh, that's way too much. And then I'm going to go in with an even lighter brown tone. Once this is completed, gone and done. I'm sorry you guys don't get to see the basing, because I've started to really enjoy basing my minis. So we can get around the legs with this. And then don't do that. Don't do that. Alright. So we got around the legs. Now it's time for the beak color. And the feet's color. Like I said, I'm going to go back over and get those talons in black once everything's done, because that is detail work, and detail work, again, in my personal opinion and findings, having been painting minis for a few years now, is really best saved for last. You don't want to go over You don't want to do detail work too soon and then have to go over it with like a wash or something and then just completely negate all of that hard work that you did on the detail. So make sure it is to your liking and then move on from there. Alright, so that is that. And now we're going to focus on getting that brighter brown, this color, to a few places. Specifically, back of the head, right here. Probably by proxy, just kind of straight down the back, lighter on the outside. And a little bit down the sides. There's yeah, a little bit down the sides of the neck too. The very, very tips up here. Lips up there. Top of the head. On the back a little bit. Down the neck a little bit. And then also around the legs. But first, get this kind of area a little bit. And now that I've kind of highlighted the spaces that I need to, I can go back and do a little bit of highlighting there to really just kind of help bring out the texture of the wings. Really, this is just going to be a very light dry brushing because I do not want to be overzealous with it. You just kind of want the texture to come out. You know, because someone spent, specifically MZ 4250, I think is their handle, spent a lot of time crafting these and did a really good job at making sure that individual feathers were taken care of. So you kind of just want a little bit of color in there. I want to do them a service. I want them. That sounds kind of assholey. I just want to make sure that I'm doing right by them when I paint their minis, is what I mean by that. I realize that probably came across as not sounding the best, but too much. Ooh-wee. Yeah, just giving it like a bit of a dry brush to kind of help accentuate the wings and show off those beautiful, beautiful feathers. It's gonna take this a very long way. I kind of don't think I need to do any washes on this. I definitely need to make sure that the beak and stuff are taken care of to make sure, and the eyes. But I kind of like the way that it looks without having any wash on it. So I don't think I'm gonna bog it down. And that's the thing. When you get to a point and you're like, oh man, if I do any more, I feel like it's just gonna not look good. That is within your right to literally choose to put more paint or less paint on the mini. You know, it's your art piece. Put as much or as little as you want into it. And I tell people all the time, they're like, how do I get good looking minis? And I go, find your art style and paint the mini how you want it to be painted. Because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Unless, obviously, you're entering it into, like, a competition, and then it kind of does matter. But what I mean by that specifically is, like, don't fret over how other people paint. People are at different points in their artistic lives, and there are going to be some people that you're like, holy cow, they paint really well. And, you know, that'll be you 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line when you're painting, or even a year if you take a lot of time and put a lot of effort into it and really hone your craft. You're gonna get to a point where you are able to do all the things that you want to do and more. And that's important. It's important to remind yourself that you are capable and able to do all of the things that you want to do. So, all right. I'm pretty happy with these. 3 minutes. Ah. All right. So now, I think eagles also have. Yeah, they have yellow eyes with black dots as well. So, as a last bit, before we're done, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this and put it back. Oops. Take some of this. And make sure that I do not have any paint that I don't want color-wise in spaces they don't need to be. That's too much paint. That's okay. All right. Take the straight yellow. That one definitely looks better than the other one, but that's okay. Oops. Need to do that. Oh, goodness gracious. And get the tiniest little amount of black on here. Literally just Oop. Oop. Eyes are the hardest part, people. Trust me. Boop. Boop. And get the talons painted up. And then these guys are pretty good to go. Give them a little manicure. And then, yeah, these guys are done too. All they will need is a finish. And then they're good. All right. 7:30 on the dot. Look at that. Perfect timing. Well, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining. And before we go, I got a few quick things to say before we end completely for the night. One, if you aren't already following the channel, please do. If you have the financial ability to, please consider subscribing. Don't forget that if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to one Twitch account of your choosing per month. You just have to re-up it. We would love it if that was us. However, if you'd like your money to go to a cause, we are having a fundraiser for Planned Parenthood that is just going to go until we finish it. So, yeah. Finally, if you could go follow us on our socials at StreamOfMT on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Or if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at Wheeler's Minis or really_Wheeler. And these will be up in the website, the Wildshapes, once I'm done with them. Website is www.wheelersminis.com, where I have commission slots available and sell most of the minis that I paint on here. So I hope that you guys have a incredible night. If you're watching Critical Role tonight, enjoy. And I will see you guys next week on Tuesday for another episode. Oh, hi Billy. I'm literally ending, but thank you for rating. I love you so much. I'll push it to who else is live right now? Let's see which of my friends are live. Huh. We'll go ahead and raid the compound. Since you raided me at the end of my stream, we're going to raid the compound. So thank you guys for joining. Like I said, things will be up on the website. If you aren't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, go to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time. Stick around for a second. It's going to be the end screen, but that's just for YouTube stuff. And then I will throw the raid over to the compound. See you guys soon. Bye.